Okay, let's jump right into this explainer. Today, we're unpacking the complex web of geography, tech, and history surrounding a tiny island that could quite literally trigger a global meltdown. We are looking at a strip of land and water that absolutely dominates international headlines, yet, it's often fundamentally misunderstood. We're unpacking the Taiwan standoff.
To really understand why this matters right off the bat, just look at this number: $10 trillion. According to economic analysts, a conflict over Taiwan could erase 10% of the entire global GDP almost overnight. I mean, taking a hit like that, it would fundamentally alter modern life for everyone, everywhere. So, how exactly did we get to this precarious point? Well, here is our roadmap for today. 1. The hottest global flashpoint. 2. A deeply divided history. 3. Identity and the status quo. 4. Geography and the Silicon Shield. And finally, 5. A $1 trillion gamble. Let's get to it. Section 1. The hottest global flashpoint. 2 rivals, 1 island. We're talking about an island of 23 million people sitting just 87 miles off the coast of mainland China, smack in the absolute center of a superpowered tug of war between the US and the PRC. Moving right along to Section 2. A deeply divided history. Centuries of shifting power. Because you really can't understand the modern standoff without seeing how Taiwan has been claimed, conquered, and, frankly, abandoned over the centuries. For hundreds of years, the people of Taiwan experienced a rotating cast of outside authorities. We're talking Dutch and Spanish outposts in the 1620s and formal annexation by China's Qing dynasty in 1683. Then, after a devastating war in 1895, China actually ceded Taiwan to Imperial Japan, who ruled it for 50 years. Fast forward to 1945, World War II ends, and the Republic of China takes control. But the truly pivotal split, the one that sets up everything we're talking about today, happens right at the end of this timeline, in 1949. The Chinese Communist Party wins the mainland civil war, which forces the defeated Republic of China government to flee across the water to Taiwan. So the crucial point here is understanding these two deeply entrenched perspectives that were forged in that 1949 split. On one side, the People's Republic of China in Beijing views Taiwan as a breakaway province, insisting on a single, unified nation under their control. Meanwhile, over in Taipei, the Republic of China has evolved over the decades into a flourishing multi-party democracy. They function, in reality, as a completely independent state with their own constitution, their own military, the whole shebang. Now, to really grasp Beijing's intense focus here, we have to look at what's known as the Century of Humiliation. This was a period from the mid-19th to mid-20th century marked by foreign subjugation of the Chinese Empire. Beijing's leadership views reunification with Taiwan as the final, absolute, necessary chapter to close out this painful historical era. For them, this idea of national rejuvenation, it's simply incomplete as long as Taiwan remains outside their direct control. All right, Section 3, Identity and the Status Quo. The modern Taiwanese mindset. We've looked at the history from a high level, but what do the people on the ground actually feel today? Well, check out this dramatic generational shift. An overwhelming 63.4% of the public now identifies purely as Taiwanese. Another 30-ish% identify as both, and only a tiny 2.4% identify as purely Chinese. Having built their own vibrant democratic society, the people of Taiwan have developed a highly distinct national identity. And because of that, the prospect of unification is highly unpopular among the Taiwanese public. Most of them just prefer to maintain the current, albeit precarious, status quo. Which brings us to Section 4. Geography and the Silicon Shield, Tech Monopolies and Island Chains. Zooming back out to the global stage, we find that Taiwan's defense relies on way more than just the water of the strait. It relies on some massive strategic realities. Enter the Silicon Shield. This refers to Taiwan's near monopoly on advanced semiconductor manufacturing. This tech dominance acts as a powerful deterrent because it makes the island economically vital to, well, everyone. Taiwan acts as the world's technological beating heart, effectively creating a shield made entirely of microchips that powers everything from the smartphone in your pocket to the most advanced fighter jets on Earth. To put that into perspective, the numbers represent staggering dominance. Taiwan manufactures 55% of all global semiconductors, but get this, a massive 92% of all cutting-edge chips. Taking Taiwan out of the global supply chain wouldn't just be an inconvenience, right? It would literally force the entire modern world to grind to a devastating halt. That global reliance is the ultimate leverage. But hey, it's not just about the tech. It's about location. Geographically, Taiwan acts like an aquatic bouncer among the first island chain choke points. It's the central link in a chain of U.S. allies, including Japan and the Philippines, that effectively locks China's rapidly expanding navy out of the deep Pacific Ocean. It's a critical tripwire. If Beijing were to control Taiwan, they'd gain unhindered access to the Pacific and control over some of the busiest maritime trade routes on the entire planet.
And this brings us to a very unique diplomatic dance known as strategic ambiguity. This is the official U.S. policy of remaining intentionally vague on whether it would actually militarily defend Taiwan. It's this delicate balancing act designed to keep Beijing guessing to deter an invasion, while simultaneously keeping Taipei from declaring formal independence. Under this policy, Washington keeps the weapons flowing to turn Taiwan into a heavily armed porcupine, basically hoping to make an amphibious assault simply too bloody and too costly for Beijing to ever attempt. Finally, Section 5, a $1 trillion gamble, the ticking clock. We've seen how carefully balanced this standoff is. But why might this delicate status quo be running out of time?
Well, we're watching a ticking clock driven by two major deadlines. First, 2027. That's the deadline set by Chinese President Xi Jinping for his military to be fully capable of a successful invasion. Then there's 2049, the centennial of the People's Republic of China and the ultimate deadline for completing that national rejuvenation we talked about. With China's population aging pretty rapidly and its economic boom potentially peaking, Beijing's leadership might feel their optimal window to act is closing within the next decade. Because if they wait too long, it might actually become structurally impossible.
Which brings us to the ultimate question. Is resolving a century-old conflict really worth the price of a catastrophic global economic collapse? Think about it. A full-scale invasion means navigating 87 miles of rough water, facing down a heavily armed island, triggering massive international blowback, and evaporating those $10 trillion we talked about at the very beginning. So, as we wrap up this explainer, I'll leave you with that provocative thought to chew on the next time you hear about military drills in the Taiwan Strait. Thanks for joining me, and keep exploring.